Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North East Non-League Show, episode 48. Heaton Stand special, sponsored by Jade Bell and DJ Private Hire. Join us tonight. We have the Heaton management and Dean Nicholson and Andrew McBride. Lads, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
No problem at all.
Excellent. Like I say, lots of positivity things to talk about tonight. Starting with the league as well. But starting just before, obviously, getting onto the league this season, just coming into the club last season, Dean. I mean, you come into the club with Andy as your assistant. I know the club said they had a vision, what the aim was to go forward. Were you kind of excited by it to get on board with all that?
Yeah, I think naturally that was always the pull. I mean, the club have always been really ambitious. I think it's the fairest way of putting it. With obviously the crowds that they get is well known, and certainly in the area that we live in, it's probably, if not probably, one of the most followed clubs. So when the job became available, it was a no-brainer certainly to apply for it. And within minutes of sitting down with James and the committee lads there, I knew for a fact that the vision that they wanted to do certainly met what I wanted to do, knowing in the background that obviously it would be Andy that I'd be bringing in with us. It was a match made in heaven, really. And like I say, it was something which I knew if we got the job and we got the right lads in and the players that we wanted to bring in, this, that and the other, we could certainly kick them on to the next level.
Yeah, it was really good. Like you see, Andy last season finished 8th, but very close to that top 6. I mean, how did you think the season went last year?
It went all right. I think a bit of a slow start. Obviously, getting promoted, it's new challenges, new sides that you probably haven't watched enough the season before, and probably 7 games in. If you'd asked to finish 8th in the league, we probably would have snapped your hand off. We hadn't won in 7. So, yeah, to eventually finish where we did, and probably quite close to the top 6 and comfortably in the top half, it was a successful season, to be honest with you.
No, really good. And question for both of you, start with yourself, Dean. I mean, looking at going over pre-season and going into the season, what was your aims as yourself as a club, the management and the players as you got together? What was your aims going forward this year?
This year, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was just always to improve on last year, really. And we've got to make sure that we know that last year was the first year in Division 1 for the club. It's important that you don't get too ahead of yourself, and we knew that. Yeah. We finished 8th. It was successful. Like Andy says, after 7 games, we hadn't won a game, so we probably would have took 3rd bottom after 7 weeks, and that's generally where we were at. So, could we recruit well? We did. We brought some good players in the summer. Can we keep the core 90%, 95%, which we did again? We lost 1 or 2 for different reasons, and we knew that if we could bring the players in that we wanted to do in the positions that we were going to bring in, that we could, like I say, have a real good account of ourselves and ultimately improve on last year. And I think as long as we do that, it's not a race to the top. It's just to be better than we were the year before. Try and go and sustain this club in the first division of the Northern League for as long as we possibly can. Can you go and have cup runs, which we've had, and we've been quite lucky with the runs that we've had in both cup competitions and stuff over the last couple of seasons. So yeah, realistic first of all, in that just because you're bringing good top quality players to the club and because you've got a real good set squad there, doesn't automatically give you the God-given right just to win football matches on a Saturday. That's not how it works, unfortunately. In that we approach every game the same. We've got a real good, like I say, core of players that have been with us now for the last year or 2. We've added some real good quality into it. And ultimately, I'm sure every single manager in the whole league will speak exactly the same and say, we're just going to go and try and win the game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. And that's all we ever try and do, home and away. And yeah, that's always going to be the aim. And ultimately, at the end of April, we'll see where we are.
Definitely. And Andy, like Dean says there, when you finish your first season, you always then put a little bit of pressure on yourself not to improve it. You see it from the professional game right down to wherever you finish, the fans want that little bit extra next season, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they're quite fair, the fans. They were happy with where we finished. I think it was above expectations, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think, again, this season we talk about sustainability and probably just seeing Heaton stand in the top half of the Northern League year in, year out. It's probably what we need, especially for the next couple of years. I know we've started off well and people make a few noises from the terraces, from outside of the club. But ultimately, if you can see Heaton stand in that top 10 of the first division of the Northern League for 2, 3, 4 years, that's where we should be at. And that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, so I see a lot of praise in the group as well. I mean, a lot of people mentioned got a lot of the games and it's been really good watching on as well. And Andy, with the season starting, obviously, we're 2-0 lost to Wickham, but since then, I mean, 10 unbeaten, 7 wins, 3 draws. Like you say, it's been a cracking start, hasn't it?
Yeah, the first game was a tough one. Dean obviously wasn't there, so Dean hasn't actually lost this season in the league. So
we'll say that, yeah.
I'll have to get that one in. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good start. I mean, as we discussed before last season, not winning in the first 7 to then winning 7 out of 11, it's completely sort of flipped. So we're in a good position at the moment. Anyone can beat anyone. We've had our run at the moment. We need to try to sustain that. There'll come a time where we will lose a few games. That's football ultimately. But yeah, overall we've had some good wins so far. So really happy with it.
Yeah, really good. And I mean, some of them wins, like you say, against Redcar, West Auckland, Bishop, West Allotment, some great sides there. But you must be confident that with the group of lads as well of them wins that you can keep pushing on now throughout the season.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we've beat some real good sides. I mean, you just named a couple there. Bishop's, I think, probably being the standout side, I think, in the division. We beat them 2-1, and I think we spoke to Chris at the end, and he spoke really well at the end of the game and said the best team won the game on the day. And obviously we beat Heaton in the FA Cup, and like you say, Redcar away, West Allotment away. So some good sides. And ultimately, it's our challenge, again, like I said before, about when 3 o'clock strikes on a Saturday, regardless of who it is in front of us, home or away, we've got to be set up and prepared well during the week to give us the best possible chance of winning the football match. And so far, we've done that. I think Andy says, I haven't lost yet. but no, what we say is, hey, we might go and lose the next 3 or 4. It happens in football. I read all the time, and I get sick of seeing that people saying about the Northern League not being as strong as it was, and this, that, and the other, and the days of Spenny and Darlow and South Shields and all these teams. But do I agree with that? No. To think that Redcar, West Allotment, Wickham are in the bottom half of that division so far speaks volumes. Really, really does. 3 real good sides, 3 real good managers, 3 real good squads. So, like Andy said before, anyone can beat anybody, and you've got to go and find that consistency, and that will be key to ultimately people's destiny, where they're going to finish at the end of the season. And there's no real surprise that sides like Shildon and Bishops, who have been on good runs and won football matches, are the top 2 in the division. And that's got to be the aim, ultimately, to try and sustain what we're doing at the moment for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get to the cup runs as well, loads watching so far. I really appreciate your support. If you haven't ever got any comments, get them in as well. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below. Also, so getting across to yourself, Andy, in the FA Cup run, it's a great run it was. 5-0 against Tower, the game against Heaton, which was a massive standout. I know we had a lot of the group went along with that game. Really sang the praise of that day. And then the 2-1 loss to Tadcaster. But it's just nice to have that run at the FA Cup. I mean, we've seen the draw the other day for the first round, and you can see after the next round, the magic just starts to lose at the big sides. Not even bothered about it now, which it's a shame to see. But down at this level, that little bit of run, it's great for fans, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant! Obviously, we got the Tower game at home, which we came through. We knew if we beat Tower, we'd have Heaton. We knew it would potentially be on a Friday night in a big game. So getting through there and getting the Heaton game, we always fancy our chances going to Heaton. We fancy our chances against anybody, to be honest with you. Doesn't mean we're better than them. It just means that we fancy going there. On the night, it went our way. We played relatively well for half an hour. Obviously, the lad got sent off for Heaton, which helps, but we still went and we put it on them. We could have easily probably sat back, maybe taken a draw, but we went on and we won. The Tadcaster game's probably the one that probably sticks. Dean will probably agree as well. That sticks in his throat. I think we really let ourselves down that day, to be honest with you. I think that was probably a game we should have went down there and won. And fair play to Tadcaster. They beat Redcar, they beat West Allotment. They obviously then beat ourselves. But I think that day we were really poor on the day, to be honest with you. And seeing them get Chester and being on the TV in the next round was a bit of a sickener. But not to keep mentioning.
Why did you mention that for?
I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that was the one, to be honest with you. It really, really sticks out. We went down and probably, they'll be honest themselves, they didn't touch a ball for 15 minutes. And me and Dean sort of went, well, we might be onto something today. And it just went downhill and they got the goals. And that football that happens and we were out. But we had a good run. We had a good day out. We had one night at Heaton, which was brilliant. And yeah, that was the one, I think. That was the one that sticks out. But as you say, it's great to get little runs, and hopefully next year we can try go 1 step further, 2 steps further. That's always got to be the aim with the FA Cup, certainly.
Yeah, and I mean with that day, the Heaton game, I think after that one, there's a lot of people on the forums and stuff like that saying, "Wow," because I know a lot of people fancy Heaton for obviously the league that they're in, and for you to go and turn them over like they did, it was a fantastic night, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, they're a top side. We knew that, and like Andy says, we set them up, and we want to go and attack the game and play against anybody. But we knew at the back of our mind it could go one or two ways, and thankfully that night it went our way. We attacked really, really well with real good pace that night. And again, I think Bobby spoke well at the end and said, "Look, we deserve to lose the game, and we move on from it." And like Andy says, the Tadcast I will not go too much into because it probably is the negative of the season so far. Again, it's not my job to come on here and say anyone's good and anyone's rubbish, but that weren't certainly anywhere near Heaven's level. That's probably nowhere near Redcar's level, if I'm totally honest, Bishop Auckland, these sorts of sides. But that is football on your day. Unfortunately, it's cup football. And if you're not at the races, unfortunately, you will get beaten. We learned down there. We lost 2-1. We had chances, and we just huffed and puffed. And that was the killer that day. And I suppose it's probably worked in my favour, which I'm sure we'll go into, but probably worked in my favour when it comes to the VARs because we don't want to feel like that again. We don't want to feel like we've missed the boat and been put out the cup to someone that realistically probably we should have beat. And was I surprised to see Blythe Town go down there and win the VARs 2 weeks later? No, I wasn't. So yeah, that's probably the downfall of it. But like Andy says, the magic of the cup, you're right. It lost probably when you start now getting to the first, second, third round, but it's absolutely not lost with teams at our level. You have some memorable games. That Heaven game now, the fans behind the goal at the end, and all of these things is what they live for. Really, really, it's why they go to work Monday to Friday. They take their young to watch Heaton stand on a Saturday, and that's all we want to give them. We want to give them nights to remember, and hopefully next year we can get another 1 or 2 more.
Brilliant, excellent. I mean, the VARs as well, Andy. So far, and it's obviously Factory 3-0, at Town 5-1, and Darwin 3-0, all home ties. But I think that's kind of helped as well. Obviously, getting the crowds there, and I think with the teams coming up to obviously Heaton, kind of, wow, here we go, we're in for a battle here, and it's been great so far, hasn't it?
So far, so good. I think being in the first qualifying round, we got was Thackeray, wasn't it? And their equivalent league, they were doing relatively well, although it was only a few games in. And you sort of think, well, was it a bit of a banana skin first game? You could have potentially got teams from divisions below and things, but we blew them away. I mean, we didn't score till 60 minutes. We missed a penalty, and you're thinking, oh, is it going to be one of them? But we managed to overcome it quite comfortably in the end. The Ilkley game, I thought we played really well that day. I think they were in a little bit of form as well, and we honestly blew them away. To be fair, some of the play over that 7 days, I think we played Bishops as well in and around there. We were really on fire, and yeah, they couldn't cope with it. And then Darwin, they came on the Tuesday night. It was off on the Saturday. They came down, and to be honest with you, we were 1-0 up at the time, I believe, and Richie got sent off. And you think again, is it going to be one of their nights? But we dug in. They got a man sent off, and then we went through quite comfortably. So home ties, 3 non-Northern League teams, which is probably pretty unusual, to be fair. Usually tend to see Northern League sides play Northern League teams, but we came through all 3 and on Wembley on Saturday, which will be another tough one.
Yeah, and touching on Emily Dean on Saturday away game, this one, I think in the VARs and cups as well, it's I think the fans always look forward to that away trip, bit of a Jolly Boys outing and stuff like that, isn't it? I think a lot of fans are excited to get down there on Saturday.
I think the players are, by the sounds of things. But yeah, I mean, look, it's nice to go to different grounds. I played there for Jarrah in the VARs years ago. Scored there, I think Andy mentioned.
Oh, didn't you? Yeah.
But no, it's again somewhere new for the club to go down. Like I say, the fans will be on the bus. They really enjoy that social aspect of it, which is great. But ultimately, like I said before, come 5 o'clock, we know that we have to get our jobs done. We trained really, really well last night and put on record that arguably I think it's going to be our toughest game of the season so far. They've beat some good sides. You don't beat Gisborne at home in the FA VARs if you're not a very, very good side. So we know what to expect. We've got a bit of information and stuff on them. We feel we're ready to go down there. And just give, again, the best account of ourselves we possibly can. If we can go down there and give the best version of Heaton Town we can, then we've got every single chance of progressing. And to say at the start of the season you're going to beat Heaven in the FA Cup, be undefeated for 3 months and lose one in your first 11 and potentially get the third round proper of the VARs by December, I would have snapped your hand off. So yeah, it's a huge game for everyone involved. The players recognise that. The players realise the importance of it as well. And I think by certainly watching them last night, that they've got.
Ready for it. And I've just looking up there. Dave was just messaged said he set you up for that goal for Jerry that night as well. It's just text through.
Obviously, you would have, of course, you would. But now, yeah, I think we went down there quite comfortably in the end. Yeah, it was. I always remember it was a bit of a slopey pitch, and by the sounds of things, it's still the same. So yeah, I think I probably set up Dave. I'm only set me up. I'll be totally honest. But yeah, some good nights. Like I say, certainly the last afternoon I had down with Emily was a one to remember. So hopefully we can replicate that come Saturday.
Definitely. I mean, looking at Emily, Andy, and I mean they're sitting third, I think, in the moment in their league. It's going to be a hard game, but it's them games that you look forward to, isn't it? On paper, like you say, it could be anyone's, and going down there, FAFRs, it's again a magic cup, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think they won last night. I think they went top. I think they're top now, so top of an equivalent league, similar to where Thackley were, who we played in the first round. So you'd imagine they'll be similar sort of level, maybe a little bit above them. But yeah, we'll certainly go down. And you want to play in the big games. You said before, you want home ties, but going away, you're going to have to be, if you're going to win the Vars, you're going to get in the latter stages. You've got to go and beat good sides. So Saturday is going to be our test, ultimately away from home, going down against a really good, strong side. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and hopefully we can be in the hat come 5 o'clock for the next round.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Before we get to chatting a bit off-field stuff as well, still loads watching, really appreciate the support as well. And talking about off-field stuff, anyone that's watching, please get across to social media for Heaton as well, Twitter, Facebook, and get that follow as much as you can to support the club and help out as well. And starting with yourself, Dean, I mean, I know we had Scott on, who's obviously a great bloke, and chatting about the club, absolutely loves it. How easy is it to work with some people, and the committee, when they love the club's there?
You don't want to know how easy it is. It's jokes aside, it's ridiculously well run from the top. The committee, the chairman, the secretary, everyone involved. Everyone really, really plays the part. They really, really do. From the lad on the gate, the young Imran on the gate, the lads, Gary who works on the gate, just everybody. Like I say, plays the part. I always find the joy of it is win, lose or draw, rain, sun, hail, whatever it is. Come 5 o'clock, they're all in there. They're all having a beer. They're all having a chat. They're all having a laugh. They're all got their scarves. They've all got their hats. And like I say, it's such a community club. There's me and Andy will go in and we'll sit with 80-year-old blokes. The late Brian Lyle, who was the huge Stan fan, and it'll be a huge loss. But we were sitting with him just a few weeks ago. We'll also have 8 and 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids coming up and ask you to sign their programs. And it's just like I say, it's a fantastic place to be on a Saturday. It really, really is. And yeah, in a world which is kind of all over the place, or quite often, it's just nice to go on there on a Saturday, spend time with your mates, sit and have a beer with someone who you might not see Monday to Friday, and you can relate to purely from non-league football. And like I say, all the committee are the same. You know, Scott is a secretary. He's an absolute secretary, if that's the easiest thing to put it. But no, the work he does away from match days is huge and massively appreciated by me and Andy and the rest of the staff and the players. James is the chairman again. Daily phone calls. Do you need anything? Do you want anything? Is this good enough? Do we need this? Is that good? Do we need this bad? And the role was always looking at, can you just add them little 1% to everything we do? And as long as we keep doing that and keep improving, then that's all we can ever ask for. But yeah, the way it's ran from the top is fantastic, and a credit of all the blokes who've been there for certainly longer than we have. They've been there a long time, and it's always been known, like I said at the start, as a fantastically well-run club. Now we're within it and we see what it's like day to day. I can vouch for that 100%.
Definitely. I think you touched as well, Andy, when Scott was on, he mentioned, obviously, I mean, he said on Facebook as well, the warm hubs and stuff like that to do off the field stuff. But I think it's really important that if the football clubs help the community, then the community should show that support as well and come and support. And like I say, if you can have that main hub in the local area, that's what everyone goes towards. And like I say, it's an outlet for so many people now, football, isn't it?
Oh, it works hand in hand, obviously, with the junior sections to start up there as well, and getting the kids along. I think a big thing, and it might not get mentioned enough, kids coming in for free. I mean, that's a big one, and getting people along to actually see local football and actually get to see heroes within their team, to be honest with you, the likes of Leighton Hoppers and your Connell Arms and your Joe Shepherds, Craig Scotts, and they get to go mingle with them after the game and then around the ground and speak to them. And yeah, that's a really big part for me, and especially with the warm hubs and the parties that get put on now and events. Me and Dean were at a Halloween party just last week with the little ones, and yeah, it's honestly it's so hard to describe what a community club it is. I think you've just got to come and experience it, and when you do, people tend to keep coming back and keep coming back. So they must be doing something right. We must be doing something right on the pitch. So yeah, there's a real sense of togetherness from all angles.
Definitely. I mean, as well, Dean, I mean, we touch on it with a lot of people that come on, the secretary and the chairmen as well. But I mean, you see now the lots of clubs that want to push on now, and you kind of say, well, you have to take that promotion. And just one of those good seasons, you end up in that top two, you're promoted. But I think, obviously, you've got to look at the sides that's gone up this year, like Ashton, who's asking for funding now as well, struggling. And it's hard for teams. But when you look at the bigger picture, I think as managers and players, you want to go on and progress and get that higher level for yourself and the players sometimes, don't you? Yeah,
I think you ask any single manager, every single player in the Northern League, they want to play at the highest level they possibly can. That's why we do it. That's why you get so high when you win on a Saturday, because ultimately we all want to win the league. Every single team, that's what we all set out at the start to do. And regardless of whether you're first, second, third, or 20th or 19th, it doesn't matter. So yes, we all want to do that. I think from a club perspective, they're always thinking on their feet. They're always wanting to put the club first, which I think is important. They'll do it in a sustainable way, 100%. There's not a case of you get 400, 500, 600 fans there, brilliant, let's just go and chuck it on a massive budget and let's just go and be the best we can be. That's not how it's done at all. Although sometimes I would wish it was. No, but it's just done right and it's done properly, and that's how it should be done. And again, I can't comment on other sides is when they go up and have these GoFundMes and stuff without kind of being on the inside and knowing kind of how it works and why it works and how it hasn't been done before. And you're always one season away now from the rules of being promoted to having to do it. So ultimately, you've got to try and get them blocks in place to be able to, should it be called upon to have to make that jump. And I would, again, this is me sitting without having a sit-down meeting with anyone at the club, I would be amazed if anything did happen in the next year or two, that the club wouldn't be in a position to be able to move forward with that sustainably and to be able to do it. I'd be very, very shocked if it wasn't. So yeah, I do feel for clubs who maybe don't have that income stream, who don't, I don't know whether it's attendances or whatever it looks like, who maybe have to take that jump, and it's maybe a jump too far, because you see Shildon coming back down and this, that and the other. However, again, on the other foot, you've got to ensure if you are going up, it's being done in a sustainable way, that if you are going to make that jump, it isn't going to be a case of then having to struggle to like I say, ultimately need to do ground things and GoFundMe pages and stuff to ultimately try and survive, which is a shame, really.
No, it is 100%. And getting on to the Northern League itself, I mean, I know in the group every weekend, the people that's now sharing the photos going to different grounds and pictures, and the love for it's building up, and it's fantastic to see as well. And start with yourself, and I mean, so far in Division 1, great start there, like you say, the likes of Shildon, Bishop, Bertley, Whitley Bay, Borough Rangers, yourself as well, North Shields. I mean, from the teams that you've played so far, who's them teams that really stood out and impressed you so far?
Bishops. I think we went down and watched them, Bertley and Bishops, 3 days before we played Bishops, and there were 3 or 4 up at half time, and Dean sort of went at me, went, "Oh, we're in for a tough one Saturday." But yeah, Bishops really good. I mean, I get out to watch a lot of games. People give us a bit of jip for going out and watching every game possible. But I watched Crook the other night. To be honest with you, I watched Crook v Wickham, and it's the first time I've seen Crook this season. Really impressed. Bertley, as you say, they've done really well. One of the lads, Prox, went there, and he was flying until he got injured, and we watched them a couple of times as well. So yeah, there's just competitive all over. Everyone's got their styles, everyone's got their different ways, and we haven't seen Shields yet. We've got Shields Wednesday. We know a little bit about them, but honestly, it's so competitive on every game you watch with the different styles. So yeah, there's been some right good starts there. But I'd probably say Bishops. You can't not say Bishops because they're the best side we played, even though we won. But yeah, we'll see what happens Wednesday. I think Shields will be a decent side as well, so we'll have a look at that one then.
Definitely. And Dean as well, I mean, we talked about on the last show, the Northern League review that we did, it's kind of almost at the minute split into kind of 3 divisions in one at the moment. You've got the kind of mid-table runners and then the teams down at the bottom. But it's a real shame to see. We see it every year now, a couple of teams that are always struggling year in, year out, and it seems to be happening with the bottom 2 sides at the minute. It's hard to see at times, isn't it, watching on as a team in the league as well.
It is, it's certainly when it's clubs with the history that them two have got. I think obviously we know the two that we're talking about. And again, without being on the inside of it, knowing the reasons why, 9 times out of 10 over the many years that I've been involved in this Northern League, it eventually comes down to money. And budgets being pulled, or sponsors being pulled, which leads to obviously what we went and watched Towlow in the summer, Andy, because we knew we had them twice in the first week, and under 16, 17, 18, and thought, hey, fair play to them all, because it's a tough old league, and we went to concert pre-season twice, I think, then come to our place and give a good account of themselves twice, and then obviously I watched them. They lost 12-0 last week, and no one wants to see that. I mean, we beat them like 13-0 RCA last year, and again, no one wants to see those sorts of results in such a competitive league. So if it is money, then like I say, hopefully it's resolved. Hopefully there's people out there that do want to get involved and do want to put money into these sorts of sides to ensure that doesn't carry on. Because like I say, there's some real good blokes who've been involved in clubs like that over the years. I know Steve at Towlow has been there for a long time, and he honestly wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's a Towlow man through and through. And him seeing them in the position that they're potentially in. I know they've got a new manager and stuff, so fingers crossed they can turn a corner. And RCA the same. I know Ben's went in there, and like I say, Ben's he'd be good at what he does. He's a coach, and he really knows his stuff. And hopefully, like I say, we can turn them around, because again, no one wants to see the 2 sides at the bottom by a million mile and the rest kind of pulling away. It should be a lot more condensed, and I'm sure everyone agrees.
Yeah, and Andy, I mean, we just touched on the Northern League, like you say, the amount of love that the group's got at the minute for all the games that's going. I mean, what makes it special for yourself and what you see on a match day and the people who makes it special in the league?
It's just unique, isn't it? As we say, we talk about when we're at home, we've got what we have, and when you go to different places, you meet different people. They've got different ways of running things. You've got different events on, and fans make it. Ultimately, you want to be playing in front of good attendances and people who really care for their club. And when you go away from home, you want to get a little bit of stick. You want to have a little bit of needle about things. Then you go in the bar afterwards and have that laugh with people, and that's what it's about. Ultimately, you give your time up Monday to Sunday, really 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. If you're on Dean's hotline for his phone calls, and you know that's what you do it for, because you want the enjoyment and you want to meet new people. You want to put good results in, but. Yeah, I would say the uniqueness of different places you go to and the way people do things, and meeting fans from different clubs, different managers, learning. It's all one big community, really, at the end of the day. And yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, and the tough one for you, Dean, the question was who are you expecting challenge up there? That Division 1 this year. I know Bishop's starting to catch up now a little bit. Shilling, but who do you expect to be possibly lifting that title come the end of the season?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be between them two, I would imagine. If you'd asked us in July, I think I probably would have went with Redcar. The thing that he had last year and the recruitment that he done, guys, in the summer, I thought, they're going to be right at it. For one reason or another, some results have just. I still think they'll be in the top 5 come the end. I don't think they're cut adrift at all. I think, like I said, they'll be up there. I think West Lothian will be up there. Whitney Bay. Like I say, there's a lot of good sides. West Auckland, teams like that who, like I say, the gaps aren't massive. North Shields have touched on. I would be I think if you finish with Bishop Auckland, you'll win the league. I think that's probably a fair thing to say. Like Andy says, we went and watched them against Birtley. We knew we played them obviously 3 days later. I kind of want to leave after half an hour because I think that's seen enough. But no, they were really impressive. And again, to go beat them 3 days later was a real feather in our cap. And I thought, fair play. Like, the lads that we've got, the squad that we've got, to go and put the performance on that they did and win 2-1, and probably could have been 3 or 4 towards the end. To beat a side like that is big. But yeah, the results since that, they've certainly reacted to that. I know they're obviously still in the Vars. Probably the side that everyone wants to avoid on a Monday at 1 o'clock when they're refreshing the FA page every 10 seconds. Because, like I say, I think if you beat them again, if you're in the Vars and you're beating them, you've got a very good chance of going quite far as well, because they're just so well drilled, and Chris has got them coached to death, really well drilled. They know exactly what they're doing. They've got some unbelievable individuals. Like I say, him and Leon have done a great job there. So yeah, I think if you finish above them, you'll certainly win the league, and I think Shield will certainly have something to say about that, as will, like, to Whitley Bay, North Shield.
Definitely. And Andy, you look at the kind of the next 10 games for yourselves, build up to that. I know there's so many games packed in now, obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather starts to get a bit better as well. But I mean, in between them 10 games, you've got the likes of obviously North Shields, Whitley Bay, Borough Rangers, Berkeley, some cracking games coming over that like festive period. It's nice to look forward to them type of games in the league, isn't it?
Yeah, as we touched upon before, you want to play the best sides. You want to play the teams that are in and around you. We've got, as I say, we start in the league. We've got Shields and Gisborough in Emily in 7 days. I mean, it's probably not going to get too much harder than that, to be honest with you. Berkeley Boxing Day. You've got Wickham a couple of days after that, who are a top side. Whitley Bay on a Friday night. Vars dependent on Saturday. I mean, yeah, some really big games, and I think we pencil all our games in, and I think there's a couple of games we've got in there. We've got Penrith twice as well. We've got Towlaw, and I think they're the bread and butter games that we need to probably be winning. I'll put out there. I mean, if you win a few and lose a few against the sides in and around you, as long as you're winning your bread and butter games, I think we'll be okay come Christmas. We'll be all right. But yeah, a really tough run starting Saturday. The next 7 days is going to be intense. So yeah, we'll see how we come out of that.
I mean, look at some of them games, Dane. I mean, if you pick up their wins against the North Shields, Whitley Bay, Borough Rangers, Berkeley before this winter period, you must think after coming into January, we've got half a chance here.
I knew that. It's easier said than done, isn't it? I would imagine Nitty Gray's thinking the same. I would imagine Shields are thinking the same. Gisborough are thinking the same. Again, we said before, we've just got to try and be the best version that we can of every single game and see how we get on. Would I have took where we are after 11 games? Yes. If we can go and replicate that next 11 again, then we'll be over the moon. But yeah, it's just always the next game. We're not naive enough to not look at maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead and see what we've got for the next month. And I spoke to the lads the other day about what the next 4 weeks looks like, because I think in the position that you're in, it's important that you do that. But ultimately, the next one's always the most important one, and with it being the second round of the Vars, it's got to take huge priority, which it does. And then once that's done at 5 o'clock on Saturday, win, lose or draw, we're either going to have 10 bottles on the bus coming back talking about North Shields, or we're going to come back drinking water upset talking about North Shields. So that's all it turns to. The focus turns to that next, and it's just one game at a time. And like I say, like I'm sure every single team are thinking exactly the same. But yeah, if you can get on another good run, which we've done, we're unbeaten in 10. I wouldn't imagine there's many unbeaten in 10. We just want to go and make that 11 and 12 and 13 and see where it gets us.
Definitely. But no, from the North East Only Show, we wish yourselves the very best luck for the season, but also the best of luck for Saturday as well. And thank you so much for both coming on the show tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much again. Thank you.
Excellent. And still loads watching now. Again, like you said, throughout the night, amazing support as always. Like you said, please get across the social media of Heaton as well and get them likes and follows and help the club as much as you can. But also hitting the subscribe button on our channel as well. Next week, Wednesday night, 10 past 9, we've got a Looking Back with Colin Larkin coming on. Chat about his time in the Freshly game and dropping down to the non-league scene as well. And Thursday night, we've got our Hartlepool United special. Couple of fans coming on to chat about obviously the news of the club sale, what is going to be happening, is it going to go ahead, is anyone going to come in as well? So lots to chat about there as well. But again, thank you everyone for watching, and we wish the very best of Heaton on Saturday as well.
Thank you.
Cheers.